Hello friends, I welcome you all to our YouTube channel Adapt, Learn and Grow Together. In this session, we will continue our discussion on conditional formatting. The business queries mentioned here will help us in understanding in detail about the usage and application of conditional formatting. To solve these business queries, let us now move to our Excel sheet. Before we move to our business queries, let us first discuss and understand the data given to us. The data shown here captures the product type, manufacturing date, use by days, and expiry dates for a given item ID. For example, the item ID 101 is bread which has manufacturing date of 28th January 2026, use by days as 5, and expiry date is 2nd February 2026. On similar lines, we can discuss the item ID 110. It is a wheat bread with manufacturing date as 21st January 2026. Use by days is mentioned as 7 and the expiry date is 28th January 2026. Since we now understand the data given to us, let us now try solving these business queries using the conditional formatting. Our first query is highlighting the rows for the products that are expired. Now, the first thing that we need to solve is which all products are said to be expired. The products where the expiry date has already passed today's date are considered as expired products, and the products where the expiry date is greater than today's date are considered as not expired products. For the categorization of the products into expired, not expired categories, we will need a helper column which is number of pending days as shown here. So number of pending days tells us that how many days are pending before we declare that product as expired. The number of pending days for a given product can be calculated using a simple formula, which is subtracting today's date from expiry date will give us the number of pending days. If this number or if this output comes out to be greater than or equal to 0, in that case, the product is said to be in not expired status. If this formula's output comes out to be less than 0, then we say that the product in such a scenario is expired. For example, item ID 105 is marked as expired because the pending days is less than 0. On similar lines, we can see that item ID 109, the pending days is greater than 0, that is positive. This item is hence marked as not expired, which also means that the expiry date is far in future when we compare it with today's system date, which is 28th January 2026. Now, since we have pending days, we understand the logic of assigning the status to each item ID basis the pending days. Let us now create a status formula and categorize each product into not expired and expired category. Here we will use the if condition, and if F2, which is the number of pending days, is greater than 0, then the status column will be assigned a value as not expired. In the case if it is not greater than 0, we will check for the scenario where the value present in the number of pending days column is less than 0. If it is less than 0, we mark it as expired. And if it is equal to 0, which means neither greater than 0 nor less than 0, that particular product would be marked with the status as last day, indicating that today is the last date for that product, and from tomorrow onwards this product will come in the expired category. Now we have the number of pending days. We also have the status basis the number of pending days. Let us now use conditional formatting to highlight the products that are expired and also highlight the rows for the products that are not expired. So we will solve these queries using conditional formatting, and before applying the conditional formatting, let us first select the data where we want to apply conditional formatting. Once the data is selected, click on Home tab, then go to Conditional Formatting option, and inside the conditional formatting, we will see predefined sets of rules. For this example, we will be creating a new rule. Click on New Rule. It asks us to select a rule type. We will select rule type as use a formula to determine which cells to format. Here, it asks us to write a formula which, when true, will format the cells as mentioned here. So our formula is, if the status is not expired, then we will format cells with green color. Also, since we want this formula to run for all the item ID, simply remove a dollar sign from here. On click of OK, we can see that all the items which have the status as not expired are highlighted in green color. Now, to highlight the rows that are in expired status, we will again go to conditional formatting and create a new rule for expired status. Again, we will use the same rule type, and this time in the formula we will say that if G2 is equal to expired, then format those cells with background color as red. Again, before we press OK here, since we want this formatting to be done for all the items given to us, we will remove the dollar sign before 2 from here. Then clicking on OK will highlight the rows where the pending days is negative or where the status is expired. Now we can see that there are still 2 items present that have not been categorized neither into expired nor into not expired status. We have declared a third category status, which is last day, to highlight such products on priority. So we now understand that wheat bread with item ID 110 and atta bread with item ID 113 will get expired tomorrow. Hence, the team will take appropriate action for these 2 products. Now we are done with our first query, which says highlight the rows for the products that are expired. Then highlight the rows for the products that are not expired, which is our second query. Now moving to our third query, which says highlight the rows for the products that will get expired in next 2 days. To solve the third query, we would be using conditional formatting option and column F, that is number of pending days, instead of column G that captures the status. To apply conditional formatting, let us first select the data where we want the conditional formatting to be applied. Once the data is selected, inside the Home tab, click on conditional formatting, and again we will create a new rule here on similar lines what we have done for other 2 queries in this session. Selecting a rule type, which is use a formula to determine which cells to format, and then writing the formula here, which when true will apply the selected format to those cells. So our first condition is where number of pending days is less than or equal to 2. We also have one more condition which says the number of pending days is greater than or equal to 0, and since both the conditions should be satisfied for query 3, we will use a AND operator here to the conditions we have mentioned. Also, since we want the conditions to be applied for all the items present in the data, we will remove $sign before to. Now, we want to select the format that should be applied wherever this condition is true. We can do that by clicking on format here, and for simplicity purpose, I am just selecting yellow as a background color. For the items where the number of pending days is less than or equal to 2 and greater than or equal to 0. On click of OK, we will see wherever the number of pending days, when it is less than or equal to 2, it is highlighted as yellow here, and when it is greater than or equal to 0, it is highlighted again in yellow for item ID 110 and item ID 113. So we can see how easy it is to use conditional formatting, whether we use the predefined set of rules or we define new rules to generate insights for the business queries given to us. I would like to thank you all for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications.